Nobody is coming to save you. No mentor is about to appear at the perfect moment. No friend is going to carry you out of your habits. No woman, no job, no miracle season is going to arrive and turn you into a man you refuse to build. And the longer you wait for rescue, the more expensive your life becomes. Waiting feels harmless because it is quiet. It doesn't look like failure. It looks like planning. It looks like healing. It looks like getting ready. But most men aren't preparing. They're hiding. They're delaying the one thing that would change everything: action. They are hoping time will soften the problem, when time only deepens it. Machiavelli would call this delusion. In his world, men were not rewarded for good intentions. They were rewarded for strength, readiness, and positioning. The court didn't pity the weak prince, it replaced him. The city didn't protect the naive ruler, it used him. Human nature hasn't changed. The modern world is the same arena with different costumes. People respect what can stand on its own. They follow what is proven. They exploit what is uncertain. So hear this clearly: nobody is coming with permission. Nobody is coming with closure. Nobody is coming with the motivation you keep waiting to feel. If you are broke, bruised, and behind, the rescue fantasy is the chain around your ankle. Cut it. Weak men hope. Dangerous men move. Weak men wait to feel ready. Dangerous men build readiness through repetition. Weak men negotiate with comfort. Dangerous men treat comfort like an enemy that sedates potential. This is the brutal truth, but it is also freedom. The moment you accept that you are the only rescue you get, you stop looking outward and start building inward. And now we have to confront the question that keeps most men trapped. Why do you still cling to waiting, even after it has already cost you years? Because waiting gives you a story where failure isn't your fault. It gives you comfort without commitment. It lets you blame timing, not standards. In the next section, we expose trap and burn it down. Waiting is not neutral, it's a decision to stay weak while time moves on. Men don't call it waiting. They call it, I'm getting ready. I just need the right moment. When I have more money. When I feel confident. When things calm down. Those sentences sound reasonable, but they are camouflage. They protect a man from the one risk that matters, being seen trying and failing. Bad timing becomes an excuse. Lack of resources becomes an excuse. Fear of judgment becomes an excuse. Fear of failure becomes an excuse. But the pattern is always the same: delay. And delay has a hidden payoff. It lets you keep your identity intact. If you never fully commit, you never fully lose. If you never start, you never have to face the verdict. That is why waiting feels safe. It's cowardice dressed as patience. You keep telling yourself tomorrow will be easier, but tomorrow is built from today's choices, and your choices keep repeating the same escape cycle. Comfort addiction deepens the trap. You scroll to numb the pressure. You binge to quiet the anxiety. You chase small pleasures to avoid big work. You tell yourself you're recovering, but you're really being sedated. Distraction becomes a daily anesthetic that steals your attention and gives you the illusion of progress without the pain of discipline. Look at the consequences: years disappear. Plans stay unfinished. Skills stay undeveloped. Bodies stay soft. Finances stay fragile. And the most brutal part is that life keeps moving while you keep negotiating. The world doesn't pause because you're afraid. It doesn't wait because you're uncertain. It simply replaces men who hesitate. This is the divide. Weak men delay until the window closes. Strong men decide while it's uncomfortable. Weak men wait for motivation. Strong men create momentum. Weak men ask for permission from mood. Strong men act from standards. And once you see the waiting trap for what it is, you begin to understand Machiavelli's realism. Respect is not given to potential. It's given to proof. The world punishes hesitation because hesitation signals weakness. In the next section, we sharpen this truth into a law you cannot forget. The world is not fair, it is accurate. It measures men by what they can hold under pressure, not by what they promise when life is easy. Machiavelli wrote for men who understood this without complaining. He studied courts, princes, allies, and enemies and saw the same pattern: the good man with soft boundaries gets replaced. The unprepared man gets used. The naive man gets robbed of time, of respect, of options. Society does not protect weak men. It exploits them, ignores them, or invites them to become useful tools in someone else's plan. That is not cruelty, it is human nature operating at scale. Preparedness is power because it changes how people treat you before you speak. A man with skill, discipline, and leverage is approached with caution. A man with excuses is approached with demands. This is why perception matters so much. People read what you demonstrate. Your posture is a resume. Your calm is evidence. Your consistency is status. When you carry yourself like you can walk away, people stop testing you with cheap disrespect. When you move like you need approval, the world charges you a tax for it. Machiavelli didn't teach manipulation for entertainment. He taught positioning for survival. He knew that fortune favors the bold, but fortune only stays with the prepared. And preparedness is built the same way power is, quietly, repeatedly, without asking anyone to clap. So stop judging yourself by intention. Start judging yourself by readiness. Can you hold your word when you don't feel like it? Can you hold your frame when someone tries to provoke you? Can you produce results when nobody is watching? Every season you spend unprepared becomes a season someone else uses to pass you. They build connections, cash, skill, and reputation while you collect reasons. Then when the moment finally arrives, you realize you are standing on the same level as before, facing a harder game with softer hands and fewer options than yesterday. That is the standard the world responds to. If you understand this, comment, prepared. Because the first act of preparedness is simple: get up. No more negotiating. No more waiting. Get up and move before your life decides for you. Get up is not motivation. It is sovereignty. It is the moment you stop negotiating with weakness like weakness has voting rights in your life. Most men bargain with their mood every morning. If they feel tired, they delay. If they feel sad, they retreat. If they feel angry, they self-destruct. If they feel uninspired, they scroll. They call it being human, but it's really being commanded by whatever emotion shows up first. And a man who is commanded from the inside will always be controlled from the outside. Getting up means you move anyway. You move when your body is heavy. You move when your mind is loud. You move when nothing feels certain. You move because the mission does not care how you feel. Discipline starts at the first action of the day, when you choose movement over negotiation. Not a perfect routine. Not a dramatic transformation. One decision: stand up, execute the next step, and refuse the story that tries to keep you small. Weak men wait for motivation. Strong men move on command. Weak men need conditions. Strong men create conditions. Weak men treat discomfort as a stop sign. Strong men treat it as proof they are on the right path. This is the switch you must flip. No more excuses. No more tomorrow. No more waiting for confidence before you act. Confidence comes after action, not before it. So start where you are. Clean the room. Train the body. Build the skill. Make the call. Do the work. 1 rep, 1 page. 1 hour. 1 completed task. Build the skill. Make the call. Do the work. 1 rep, 1 page. 1 hour. 1 completed task. Getting up is not a single heroic moment. It is the daily refusal to be the same man again. Every time you get up, you teach your mind that your word is law. And once your word becomes law, your life begins to change. Not overnight, but relentlessly. The body toughens. The mind quiets. The excuses shrink. You stop needing permission because you're proving competence. You stop needing comfort because you're building control. Momentum replaces motivation and results start appearing daily. Say it once and then prove it: I get up. Now we sharpen it into the next pillar, because movement without emotional control still bleeds power. To become dangerous, you must get cold. If they can trigger you, they can steer you. That is why you must get cold. Not cold as in numb. Not cold as in heartless. Cold as in controlled. Cold as in calm under pressure. Cold as in emotionally unreachable to cheap tactics. Most men stay hot. Their emotions run loud, fast, and public. They react on cue. They chase validation. They need to be understood. They need to be liked. They need the room to approve them. And because they need it, the room owns them. Emotional heat makes a man predictable. If you know what offends him, you can control him. If you know what tempts him, you can derail him. If you know what praise he craves, you can manipulate him. That is why Machiavelli warned about rulers governed by emotion. A provoked ruler is a puppet. The strings belong to whoever understands his wounds. Getting cold means you cut those strings. You stop reacting immediately. You stop explaining yourself to people who already decided what they think. You stop defending your worth in public like it's up for debate. You stop needing validation to stay steady. Coldness is selective access. It is the ability to decide what enters your mind and what stays outside. Insults stay outside. Opinions stay outside. Rejection stays outside. Temptation knocks, but doesn't enter, unless you allow it. This is not denial. It is discipline. It is the difference between feeling an emotion and being driven by it. You can feel anger without handing it the wheel. You can feel fear without collapsing into hesitation. You can feel loneliness without begging for attention. A cold mind watches the feeling, names it, and then chooses what serves the mission. That choice is power. And that's why cold men are respected. Not because they are cruel, but because they are stable. The world trusts what is stable. The world follows what is stable. The world fears what is stable and capable. Here is the rule: stop being emotionally rentable. Stop giving people access to your reactions like you're handing out your weakness for free. When you get cold, you become harder to read, harder to bait, harder to control. Your peace stops being negotiable. Your decisions stop being emotional. Your standards stop being optional. Comment, cold mind, if you're ready for that shift. Because once you can move and stay cold, you become ready for the next level. Cold composure is control, but control must be backed by capability. Now you must get dangerous. The world respects what it cannot easily stop. That is what dangerous really means. Not violence. Not bravado. Not acting tough. Dangerous is competence. Dangerous is reliability. Dangerous is the ability to execute under pressure and deliver results whether you feel like it or not. A dangerous man can produce. He can build. He can walk away. He can defend a boundary without shaking. He can hold his frame when someone pushes. He has leverage, and leverage changes everything. Weak men want respect but refuse the work that makes respect inevitable. They want status without skill. Freedom without discipline. Power without capability. But capability is the only language the world consistently understands. When you have skills that pay, people can't treat you like you're replaceable. When you have a strong body, people can't sense softness so easily. When you have money discipline, you don't stay trapped in relationships and jobs that poison you. When you have focus, you don't drift into mediocrity. Dangerous men are built through systems, not moods. They train their body because physical strength is psychological strength. They sharpen their skill because skill becomes independence. They control their money because money becomes options. They control their attention because attention becomes power. And they stack these things until their presence carries weight. Not because they demand it, but because the evidence is visible. This is why dangerous men are respected even by people who don't like them. Respect follows capability. Fear follows consistency. Leverage follows results. If you can do what most men can't do, stay disciplined, stay calm, stay focused, build in silence, deliver outcomes, you become a problem for anyone who wants to control you. You become a threat to every system that profits from your weakness. That is the real meaning of dangerous. It means you are no longer easy to ignore, easy to manipulate, or easy to replace. You have built yourself into a force. And a force changes the environment around it automatically. But understand this, danger is not created once. It is maintained. The moment you stop training, you soften. The moment you stop building, you drift. The moment you stop protecting your standards, you become reachable again. So treat capability like a weapon that must be sharpened daily. Work your craft, train your body, track your money, guard your attention, deliver results. Do it long enough and the world will rearrange, not because it loves you, but because it cannot deny you. Say it once as a standard, dangerous. And then prove it with the next rep, the next hour, the next decision. Now we expose the enemies that keep men harmless, because most men don't fail from lack of desire. They fail because comfort and distraction keep them soft. Your environment is either sharpening you or sedating you. Most men don't lose because they are incapable. They lose because they are constantly being softened. Dopamine addiction is the silent killer. Endless scrolling, endless stimulation, endless cheap pleasure trains your mind to crave comfort instead of conquest. It makes discipline feel heavy and boredom feel unbearable. You start needing a reward every few minutes, and the moment life asks for depth, you collapse into distraction. Then come the excuses. I'm tired. I'm stressed. I'll start next week. These are not reasons. They are sedatives. Easy pleasure deepens the weakness. Junk food, porn, binge entertainment, late nights, small habits that quietly dismantle standards. Not in one dramatic moment, but in slow decay. Emotional drama does the same. It hijacks attention and replaces progress with noise. You fight battles that don't matter. You get pulled into arguments that change nothing. You spend energy proving instead of building. And then there are weak circles. Low-standard friends who normalize mediocrity, mock discipline, and reward distraction. People who clap for your comfort but resent your growth. People who keep you stuck by reminding you who you used to be. Environments like that are not neutral. They are toxic. They slowly infect your ambition until average starts feeling normal. That is how men become harmless. Not because they lack potential, but because they stay surrounded by forces that sedate it. A dangerous man cannot be built in a soft environment. The code, get up, get cold, get dangerous requires pressure, structure, and distance from anything that dulls your edge. So audit what you consume, who you listen to, where you spend time, what you tolerate. If it makes you weaker, it is an enemy, even if it feels good. Because comfort is friendly in the moment and lethal over time. The man who wants power must become ruthless with his inputs. That's why the next phase is not more motivation. It's the build phase, isolation at the right times, structure every day, discipline when nobody is watching. That is where real men are forged. They'll call it luck. You'll know it was discipline. This phase is where you go dark, not out of weakness, but out of strategy. Less talk. More building. When you stop performing your journey and start constructing it, you create something most men never touch, depth. Isolation becomes a laboratory. In the lab, you remove distractions, remove weak voices, remove the constant pull of opinions, and you finally hear the mission clearly. You learn who you are without an audience. You learn what you can endure when nobody is applauding. That is where the real man is forged. Routine becomes structure. And structure is what keeps you moving when motivation dies. You wake up and execute. You train and you work. You eat and you sleep like a disciplined man, not like a drifting boy. You keep your environment clean because chaos outside creates chaos inside. You limit dopamine because too much pleasure makes pain feel unbearable. You choose silence blocks hours where you produce with no input, no scrolling, no noise. This is not about being extreme for a week. It's about repetition. Repetition becomes identity. When you do the hard thing daily, you stop asking if you are disciplined. You become disciplined. When you hold your emotions under pressure repeatedly, you stop hoping you will be calm. You become calm. When you build capability every day, you stop wishing you were dangerous. You become dangerous. This is why the forge phase matters. It's the bridge between knowing and becoming. Most men stay stuck in ideas. They collect information and call it progress. But the forge doesn't care what you know. It cares what you do. And every day you show up in silence, you harden the code inside you. Get up, get cold, get dangerous. Built in silence. Then one day the world feels different, not because life softened, but because you did not. Your standards are higher. Your mind is steadier. Your body is stronger. Your attention is sharper. And that's when the payoff arrives. People treat you differently, chaos loses access, and your life starts moving in your direction. When you stop waiting, life stops playing with you. Not because the world suddenly becomes kind, but because you become harder to move. Respect rises first. People speak to you differently when your standards are visible. When you stop over-explaining, stop reacting on cue, stop begging for approval, and start moving with control, the cheap tests decrease. Manipulation drops because your emotions are no longer public property. You don't explode when provoked. You don't collapse when ignored. You don't chase validation like oxygen. And when you stop feeding drama with reactions, the people who live on that energy get bored and move on. Confidence stabilizes too, because it's no longer built on hype. It's built on proof. You know what you can do because you've done it repeatedly. You trust yourself because your word has become law. Opportunities expand for the same reason. When you become disciplined, you create momentum. When you create momentum, you create results. And results change the rooms you enter, the conversations you're invited into, and the leverage you carry. Chaos loses access as well. The world stays noisy, but your inner world becomes quiet. You stop being dragged into every argument, every low-level emergency, every emotional storm designed to steal your attention. You choose what enters. You choose what matters. That is power. And the most important truth is this: you didn't get saved. You became the savior. You stopped waiting for rescue and built rescue into your habits. You got up when you didn't feel like it. You got cold when emotion tried to hijack you. You got dangerous through capability and results. That is why the world rearranges. Not because you asked it to, but because you became a man it can't ignore or easily control. This is earned, not fantasized. But there's one final danger: relapse. The old identity always tries to return when pressure hits. So now we lock the code. Not as inspiration for today, but as law for every day that follows. So here is the final code. Nobody is coming. And that is not a sentence to fear, it is a sentence to obey. Because the moment you accept it, you stop waiting and start building. Get up, get cold, get dangerous. Not as motivation, as law. Get up means you move when you don't feel like it. You stop negotiating with weakness. You execute the next step and let momentum replace excuses. Get cold means you control access to your emotions. You stop reacting on cue. You stop begging for approval. You stop being emotionally rented out to people, pressure, and noise. Get dangerous means you build capability the world can't ignore: skill, strength, discipline, focus, results. You become reliable to yourself and therefore respected by others. This code is not about becoming heartless. It's about becoming unbreakable. It's about saving yourself daily, in small decisions that most men avoid. Every day you follow the code, you become harder to manipulate, harder to distract, harder to defeat. Every day you ignore it, you become easier to control. That is the trade. So choose. Choose structure over comfort. Choose standards over mood. Choose discipline over excuses. Choose silence over noise. Choose construction over consumption. Because life will not stop testing you. People will not stop trying you. Comfort will not stop sedating you. And if you're waiting for the world to make it easier, you will die waiting. Save yourself daily. Get up. Get cold. Get dangerous. If you're done waiting and you're claiming this code, comment dangerous below. Make it public. And if you want more Machiavellian mindset, ruthless self-mastery, and cold strategy, subscribe and stay close. The next video will sharpen you even further. Remember this: nobody is coming. But you are still here. Now act like it.